Hello, my name is Jack Ho, and I want to preface this by saying that I personally don't think that, I still think that my life is only getting better, I don't want to consider myself peaked at a certain time, but if I had to say, a time in which I highlight as my best time, I would probably consider it my senior year of high school for a multitude of reasons. To start us off, I had been in the tennis team the year before, and going into senior year, I was moved up to varsity for one. A lot of the seniors had moved, they graduated, so I was able to move up. And second, there weren't a lot of people in varsity at the time, so it was kind of natural that I would go up to varsity. Now, I wasn't first or anything like that. I was pretty close. I was in three or four, but still varsity is chill. Anyways, I consider it a highlight because while my team, as a school, we didn't win that many matches for the tennis team. I personally won a couple of individual matches. Not a couple, most of mine. I'd say I probably had the best track record that year for winning matches on our team, even though we did lose all our matches and we couldn't go to, I forget what it's called, but we couldn't move further on into our division. But we did do it's like this whole separate thing. It was called area, and again, I did it with a partner, and while I didn't, our school didn't make it very far. I had one highlight moment in which this one game would decide whether we would keep moving on, keep going forward. The game was tied. Whoever won the next point would win the game. And so I remember it was my turn to serve the ball, and I ended up cramping my right calf. It was terrible, super painful, but we ended up winning the match regardless, and I think there's a pretty cool memory in my head. We ended up losing the next match afterwards, but human perseverance. Another reason that I think high school senior was my peak was I got a girlfriend. I'd never had a girlfriend before at the time, so I thought it was a um, pretty cool achievement. Didn't last, unfortunately. Made it past the school year, I guess, but the whole relationship didn't last, unfortunately. So take it with a grain of salt. But I did get my first girlfriend in high school senior year, so I take that as a win. And another achievement I'd like to highlight, making it my best year or best moment in my life, is I was in the newspaper club, and I was quite close with the president. I was friends with the president of the newspaper club, and so whenever I had to write an article up for a certain event, I'd write it with them. And so one of the articles we wrote got elected for best newspaper story. I think it's something like that. But I was nominated. My article and theirs was nominated. For some reason, only my name was put up there, so only I was nominated. But I consider them a part of that victory, even if not a name. So I remember they were holding the award ceremony at Bank, and I remember going there with my friends and yada yada yada, get dressed up fancy stuff like that. I didn't think I was gonna win, because I was like, okay, it's whatever. I helped write the news story. I didn't think it'd be anything crazy, but let me get it real quick. To my surprise, I did end up winning, and the reward is best news story, print or digital. It was digital, so that was cool. It was nice to hear my name get called up. Definitely a highlight of my life for sure, even if I didn't win it by myself. And so those are all the big, super big moments that I can recall. But I consider my high school senior year probably one of my best moments in my life, just because, I wasn't doing super great academically. I believe that it was probably the best I've been socially. I was just hanging out with my friends. I was having a good time, and I was more or less satisfied with that year. So I would say the high school senior I'd consider it the best part of my life so far, even though realistically, I still think my life is still doing pretty good.